Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the second webinar of the Help Desk series through Arts Business Collaborative. We're really excited to be leading this session on how to apply for the ESD COVID-19 Pandemic Small Business Recovery Grant Program. My name is Scherson. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the project manager at Arts Business Collaborative, and I'm joined by my colleague, Tatum Turner, operations lead at ABC. Our organization, Arts Business Collaborative, is a community partner of ESD this year, and we'll be able to provide applicants the support they need to apply for this grant. If you're unfamiliar with our organization, ABC is a 501c3 technical assistance and research organization with a message to improve quality of life for people of color. Our services focus on the underlying factors that impede their creative and professional endeavors of small business owners and nonprofit leaders to access capital, networks, and trainings. This meeting is being recorded and the slides will be available to the public. And so I'll be sharing both resources out to those who attended today. In this call, we also have Yadira from Lendistry who will be able to answer any questions you may have about the grant program. So let's go ahead and get right into the presentation. This grant program was created this past spring to provide grant support to currently viable small businesses, micro businesses, and for-profit independent arts and culture organizations in New York State who have been economically impacted by COVID-19. Organizations can receive up to $50,000 in grant funding, depending on your business's annual gross receipts in 2019. If you can see in this chart, if your organization's gross receipts were $25,000 to less than $50,000, you'll receive $5,000. If your gross receipts were $50,000 to less than $100,000, then you'll receive $10,000. And if you made $100,000 to $2.5 million, you'll receive up to $50,000. And so please note that the annual gross receipts limits have changed from $500,000 to $2.5 million in August. And so grant amounts and calculations will be subject to change by Empire State Development. So some quick definitions to know for this grant webinar. This grant will be able to support small businesses, micro businesses, and for-profit independent arts and cultural organizations. So quickly going through some definitions. A small business refers to a business that is resident incorporated in the state of New York and licensed or registered to do business in the state of New York as well. It is independently owned and operated, non-dominant in its field, and has less than 100 employees. When we talk about micro business, this refers to a business which is resident incorporated in the state of New York and licensed or registered to do so in the state of New York as well. It is also independently owned and operated, non-dominant in its field, and employs 10 people or less. So for-profit independent arts and culture organizations refers to a small or medium-sized private for-profit independently operated live performance venue, promoter, production company, or performance-related business located in the state of New York that was negatively impacted by COVID-19 health and safety protocols and having 100 or less full-time employees. And this is excluding seasonal employees. So I want to make a note and highlight of that. So the qualifying organizations under this definition may include businesses engaged in the field, including but not limited to architecture, dance, design, film, music, theater, opera, media, literature, museum activities, visual arts, folk arts, and casting. And so please note that this does not include nonprofit arts organizations. And finally, COVID-19 health and safety protocols refers to any restrictions imposed on the operation of business by Executive Order 202 of 2020 issued by the governor, or any extension or subsequent executive order issued in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, or any other statute, rule, regulation imposing restrictions upon operations of a business in response to COVID-19. Next slide, please. Eligibility for the grant. So who is best eligible? So small businesses, micro businesses, and for-profit independent arts and cultural organizations that began operations before or on March 1st, 2019. They must have made a net profit in 2019 and show a gross receipts as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. So slide 5, please. If a small business or micro business have 2019 and or 2020 gross receipts between $2,500,000 and $2.5 million, they must demonstrate a positive net profit on 2019 business returns and demonstrate at least 25% loss in annual gross receipts in a year-to-year revenue comparison as of December 31st, 2020. Next slide, slide 6. So this will only apply if you applied to PUA, so the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. So please take a look at this slide if this applies to you. So to continue onward with eligible small businesses, your business must demonstrate that total expenses on your 2020 business income return are greater than the grants amounts. You must also be compliant with applicable federal, state, and local laws, regulations, codes, and requirement. And if you owe any taxes, federal, state, or local prior to July 15th, you must be on a payment plan. And also, you must have not qualified for any business grant assistance program under the Federal American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 or any other federal COVID-19 economic recovery business assistance programs. And so there are a couple grants that if you apply for and accepted for, you will also be able to apply for this grant. So for example, the PPP program loans totaling $2,500,000 or less, COVID-19 EIDL Advanced Grant, or the COVID-19 EIDL Supplemental Targeted Advanced Grant. And for arts organizations, if you qualified for the SBA Shared Venues Operator Grant, you also qualified for this grant as well. So starting to think about key information to consider, we can go on to the next slide. If you are eligible, you must provide evidence that your business is in operation in the state of New York and not restricted by any state, local, or other agency mandate. And so due to the limited amount of funding and large amounts of requests, your business type, geography, and industry may factor into the ability to receive this grant. Grant priority will be given to socially and economically disadvantaged business owners, including but not limited to those with disabilities, service-disabled, veteran-owned businesses, and veteran-owned businesses, or businesses located in communities that were economically distressed prior to March 1st, 2020, as determined by the most recent census data. And a final note is that you must complete your application 60 days after starting, or your application will become inactive. So one suggestion that we have is we highly recommend all applicants to get their required documentation uploaded within 14 days of applying. So what makes a business uneligible? Your business is not eligible if you are a nonprofit organization, church, or other religious institution, government-owned entity, business engaged in political activities, businesses that received awards from the Restaurant Revitalization Grant Program, landlords and passive real estate income businesses, illegal businesses, and or other industry or business types as specified by ESD. So your grant funding must be used for COVID-19 related expenses incurred between March 1st, 2020 and April 1st, 2020. So examples include payroll costs, commercial rent or mortgage payments for New York State-based property. Please take a look at the left column of this to see what you'll be able to apply for. And you'll not be able to use your grant award to repay or redown any portion of loan obtained through a federal COVID-19 relief package for business assistance or any New York State business assistant program. Next slide, please. Thank you. And for folks who are joining us, thank you so much. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box. If you will need to upload the following documentation in your application. So please take a look at the slide as I read this as well. Your organization must provide gross receipts of loss or economic hardship in your 2019 and 2020 business income tax returns. Your IRS Form 1120 for if you're a corporation or LLC, your IRS Form 1065 and Schedule K1s if you're a partner, ships, IRS Form 1040 and Schedule Cs for sole proprietors, and your IRS Form 1040 Schedule F if you're a sole proprietor farming business. Big note is that your fully filed federal tax returns for 2019 and 2020 are required. If requested by Landustry, you can also attach the completed IRS Form 4506C if requested. And then you must also provide two of the following to prove business location and current operation. So this is, for example, your current lease, utility bill, current business bank account, et cetera, et cetera. Next slide, please. So for any owners with 20% or more ownership of the business, you must provide a list of names, addresses, social security numbers for non-US owners, your ITIN, phone numbers, emails, percentage ownership, and photo ID. And to complete the application for this grant, owners and applicants must be at least 20% owner to provide the information mentioned. And also applicants must submit schedule of ownership information for all owners with 20% or more ownership of business. Again, as mentioned before, non-US owners are subject to ITIN number verification through the IRS form CP 565. You must also prove the number of employees you have through your most recently submitted NYS 45 document for employers. And then also provide one of the following to prove your business organization. So you see the list, but that includes current business license, current business certificate, et cetera, et cetera. And finally, to receive your funding, if you're accepted, you must submit your IRS form W-9 and bank account information. So that was a lot of information and we totally understand. And as mentioned before, you can refer to this PowerPoint recording or video at any point. And also ABC is happy to answer any questions along the way. But to further help you, here's some examples of the required documentation that we just mentioned. So to show proof of gross receipts, loss, or economic hardship, you can submit the following. So on the screen, you see, for example, your IRS form 1120S if you're a corporation, if you're a partnership, your form 1065, Schedule K1, etc. Next slide, please. To prove your business organization, as you see, you could show your business license or your current business certificate to show proof of business. Also, this is what a certificate of incorporation or certificate of assumed names looks like. You'll also see a certificate of authority or your articles of information. Now, one thing that you might hear us say is the term current, and this means your most recent and non-expired documents. So please submit your most current documents. So applicants of the grant must provide two of the following to show proof of business location and current operation in the state of New York. So this can be current lease, utility bill, current business bank statement, et cetera, et cetera. And please note that of the documents listed above, monthly statements must be within the last 30 days from the time of application submission, and other documents should be the most recent version signed or filed. So here are some examples of what we mentioned prior. So you'll see our ST100 sales tax documentation, as well as the most recently submitted New York State or NYS 45 document for employer firms. For your schedule of ownership, please provide a list of names, addresses, social security numbers, or for non-US owners, the ITIN, phone numbers, emails, percentage ownership, and a photo ID for any owners with 20% or more owners of the business. So as an example, let's say that there are 3 owners of your business. Person A owns 50%, person B owns 40%, and person C owns 10%. So then only person A and person B should be listed because they have 20% or more ownership. And so you can download the form from the application portal, and I'll also put the link in the chat box as well so you can see it. Next slide, please. If you're applied for, or if you're approved for funding, you must provide a W-9 and bank account information so you can get your grant. Next slide. Thank you. Alongside your grant application in the application portal, you must attach the applicant certification form. And so when applying for this grant, you must self-certify the accuracy of information you're submitting by signing and attaching the application certification. This certification will be available in electronic form to you to download and complete. And again, you must sign the application certification as this is a required document in the grant process, and you'll need to upload it to the portal. So you can do this in 2 different ways. So one, you can download and sign the certification electronically or print it by hand. So I will also be putting this in the chat box as well, but please note that this is all on the website. So if you look at NY Small Business, one moment, please, nysmallbusinessrecovery.com, you'll be able to access it. Next slide, please. Um, uh, Yes, so if you were to download and complete the application certification electronically, please access the certification link either through the website or the link provided in the chat that I just put in there. So you can click the down arrow icon to download this onto your computer and then please save. Access the application certification and open the file. You'll see it and it'll open as a PDF, so you can enter your initials next to all the numbered items and enter your signature and business name on page 5. Please then save this document and upload the completed application certification to our portal. This should take no more than 10 minutes. And for those who would like to complete the application by hand, you can download the application certification printed by clicking the printer icon, then fill the document by hand using a dark pen and legible handwriting. Then you can scan the completed document uploaded into the portal. And we'll be sharing some apps that you can use to scan as well as upload as a PDF. And so the really important thing that we really want to stress is that to please upload all documents in PDFs, not JPEG, not GIF, PDF form. And we have had applications get rejected because they were the wrong document type. So please be aware of the type of document you submit. So how are we doing so far? We know that this is a lot of information, but we promise that this will be all valuable to know and refer back to. And so we have some tips to consider when applying for this grant that'll be really helpful to you. So the first that we suggest is please use the Google Chrome as a browser instead of Internet Explorer, Safari, Firefox, whatever y'all like to use. Other web browsers may not support the application interface and may cause errors in your application. So if you don't have Google Chrome on your device, you can download it for free at www.google.com/Chrome. And I'll also put that in the chat box as well. Next slide, please. So cached data is information that has been stored from a previously used website or application and is primarily used to make the browsing process faster by auto-populating your information. Cached data may also include outdated information such as old passwords or information you've previously entered incorrectly. So this can create errors in your application and may result in it being flagged for potential fraud. So what you can do to clear your cache is clicking the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner, then going to settings, go to privacy and security, and then select clear browsing data, and finally select clear data. So one other tip that we have is for you to use incognito mode. Next slide, please. Incognito mode will allow you to enter information privately and prevents your data from being remembered or cached. You can do so by clicking the 3 dots. Again, we love those 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner of your web browser, and then selecting New Incognito Window. Your browser will open a new window. So our application includes multiple pop-up messages that are used to confirm the accuracy of the information you provide. So you must disable the pop-up blocker on Google Chrome to see these messages. If you would like to do this, go to Google Chrome. Again, click those 3 dots on the upper right-hand corner, select settings, click privacy and security, click site settings, then clicking pop-up redirects, and then finally click the button so that it turns blue and the status changes from blocked to allowed. Next slide, please. So this is so important that we'll mention it a 3rd time, 4th time, many times. So again, please submit all documents in a PDF format. All documents must be submitted in this format or they will not be supported. So no IMG, no JPEG files. All files must be under 15 megabytes. And the file name cannot have any special characters. So no exclamation points or @sign. And if your file is password protected, that is fine. You'll just need to enter it in the portal or else folks will not be able to view the document. And if you don't have a scanner, we recommend using some free mobile apps. So one is Genius Scan and the other is Adobe Scan, which you can use actually using your phone. Please make sure that you're using a valid email address when you're applying and one that you check frequently. You'll receive updates and additional instructions at the email address you provide. So this will be super crucial during your application process. So the following emails will not be accepted or recognized in our system. So this can include an info@, so for example, like info@mycompany, any that are ending with @contact.com or @noreply.com. So emails that do work is, for example, grantsaretfun@gmail.com. That is a valid address. So if you prefer to fill out the application in another language, the application is translatable in the following languages you see on the screen. So we at Arts Business Collaborative will be able to help you fill out the application and provide support in English, Spanish, French, Haitian Creole, and Japanese. So if this is something that you would find helpful, please do contact us. And if you're looking for non-English language support, you can also call the Industry Call Center or visit www.newyorksmallbusinessrecovery.com. So, so much information. How's everyone doing? I hope everyone's doing well. So with all this, how do I fill out my application? That's a great question. Let's get started. So this grant application is administered by Empire State Development and powered by Landustry. Thank you to both. You can find the application through the www.newyorksmallbusinessrecovery.com website. And so before you begin, you will be queued up in a waiting room to start a new application. One thing that I want to note is when you go on the website, you'll find the link to enter and it'll put you in a waiting room. And then another quick note is please do not fill out multiple applications. This will be detected as potential fraud and will disrupt your application process. And if you have done this, please contact us immediately. So you don't have to complete this application in one session, and you have the option to save and continue it later. Enter your contact information in the Let's Get Started section of the application in order to receive login credentials to the portal. Once you activate the account, you'll be able to complete your unfinished application. So to get started, you'll need to provide some personal information, which includes your first and last name, email, phone number, et cetera, et cetera. And then you'll also have the option to select a referral partner. So as a community partner, we are a referral partner. And if you're getting assistance or referred to us, or even we're inspired to apply for this grant from this call, please select Arts Business Collaborative. We're right in the beginning, third from the top. So feel free to select us. And if you have a preferred language, you can also select that there. Again, one thing that you'll notice about this presentation is obviously everything is super important, but if it's extra important, we'll repeat it over and over, and this is one of those times. Again, please be sure to use a valid email address in this section. All important updates and further instructions will be sent to this email address that you provide. So you'll be able to receive status updates for your grant application through text or SMS, which is really awesome. So if you want to receive these updates, which we highly recommend, please provide consent after reading disclosure by checking the box. If you'd like to opt out, leave the box unchecked, but again, we do suggest getting these updates. Next slide, please. Can we go to the next slide on owner details? Thank you so much. So this is all about owner details. So we ask that you provide the following information that you see on the screen right here. And so you'll also see you must check the box to acknowledge that you've read and agreed to the terms and conditions for this application, and you must agree to move forward with your grant application. Next slide, please. And so the next session is to provide any business information, which includes business name, DBA, et cetera, et cetera. And so 2 points that we want to make is that if your business doesn't have a DBA, please put none, N-O-N-E, in this file. And if your business does not have a website, you can do none.com in this field. And if you forget this, again, this PowerPoint presentation as well as this video will be recorded and sent to you. And so feel free to refer to this. And if you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact us. Next slide, please. So the how can we help section is where you need to refer to your documents and information that we spoke about in the beginning. So this would be your purpose of grant, estimated grant eligibility amount, and this grant amount that you request is based on your annual gross receipts in 2019. And so you'll see some other questions that will be asked in this section as well. For example, number of full-time employees and part-time employees in 2020, as well as jobs created and retained. And so for business owners, please note that you are a paid employee of your business, and and if you receive a W-2, you must be included in the employee count. Next slide, please. So the business demographics section will ask for the following questions as a sample. So who's your customer base? What does your business do? It'll also ask for further demographic information, such as if you're a woman-owned, veteran-owned, or minority-owned business, if you are identified as disabled, your race and ethnicity, as well as if it's a franchise or not. You'll then reach the disclosures section where you'll answer the following questions. As there are many, and I've been talking a lot already, I'll give y'all a moment to read this and take it in. So some key notes are that for a business must be in operation currently and to provide annual gross receipt amounts for 2019 and 2020. And one more note that we want to make is number 13. If you have received technical assistance from us, then please note Arts Business Collaborative. This will be super helpful to us, and we want to be able to support you during this process as well. Next slide, please. Awesome. So you are almost there. You'll then reach the confirmation section at the end of your application, and you'll have two options. So first, you can save your application and finish it later. You can select no. So if you would like to save and complete your application later, click no, or select no and then click save and continue later. An important note is that your application must be completed in order to be considered for this grant. So just because you save and continue later, please go back and make sure that you submit this grant. And to complete your application and submit, please click yes. So if all the information you provided is correct and you'd like to complete your application submission, select yes and click continue. Again, you will not be able to edit your application once it has been submitted. If this confirmation message does not appear, make sure that your pop-up blocker has been disabled on your web browser. Mentioning this again, all applications are encouraged to get their required documents uploaded within 14 days. So we advise you to have them before you submit. And as we mentioned before, if you don't upload all the documents within 60 days, the application will become inactive. Congratulations, you're done. So you'll receive the following message when your application has successfully been submitted. And so for some next steps, you'll receive a separate email containing a username and password to your application portal. So please use the login credentials to complete all of the following steps. Activate and sign into the portal, upload all required documents in an acceptable format, link your bank information so that we can verify your bank statement and set up direct deposit. And again, this is only required for active applicants who are selected. And then please check your email, including clutter, junk, and spam for your username and password from a noreply@mylenderstreet.com to activate your account and to upload documentation. And another suggestion that we have is like keep that username and password close to heart, keep it on a sticky note, keep it somewhere safe so that you can refer to it. So please go and find your username and password and keep this in a safe place. And then please check the email address that you entered in the Let's Get Started with Your Application section of the grant application for your username and password to our portal. If you do not see this email in your inbox, again, please check your spam and junk folders. And you can activate your account by clicking click here to log in. And so some final things that we really want to speak about before we close this presentation. Again, this is super important information when uploading your documents. So before you begin, please review the following notes to ensure that your documents are uploaded correctly. Next slide, please. So banking information is only needed if you're approved for funding. If a document does not apply to your business, then select NA. Mentioning this for a fourth time now, all documents must be submitted as a PDF file. We would hate to see your application not be accepted because it's a wrong file. So please make sure that you use the PDF file and it must be under 15 megabytes. If your document is multiple pages, this should be submitted as one file. And so if you have any specific questions to this as well, as a technical partner and a community partner, we can help you. So if you have any questions, please let us know. And within the documents, please do not include special characters such as exclamation point or @sign in the file name. Our portal will not be able to recognize special characters. And if your document is password protected, that is totally fine. You'll be asked to enter it in the portal. Just stressing this one more point is that we highly encourage you to get your documentation uploaded within 14 days of applying. So once you submit the first part, please remember to upload all your documents. We encourage you to upload it as soon as possible. So another suggestion that you have is before you start the application, you can have all the documents that you need and have it prepared so you can work on it and submit it. So if you already have your documents, it should only take about maybe 30 up to 60 minutes to fill out this application. So that could be a really great way to get this application completed quickly as well. And so to upload your documents into the portal, please select a document type and click the down arrow to expand its folder. Please be aware of what type of file you submit, then click Browse to locate the file on your device. Please submit all files as a PDF. If your document is not password protected, click Yes from the drop-down menu and enter the password. Or if your document is password protected, pardon me. And if your document is not, then select No and leave the password field blank. Click Upload Documents to complete upload, and the status of the document will change from pending to completed. So after submitting your application, let's say that you've gotten a notice that you received this grant. First, congratulations, very exciting. Second, let's link your bank account information so you can get your funding. So Lendistry uses a third-party technology called Plaid to set up ACH transfers by connecting accounts from any bank or credit union in the US to an app like Lendistry's portal. The third party does not share any of your personal information without your permission and does not sell or rent it to outside companies. The use of personal information on or through Plaid is subject to Plaid's end user privacy policy. Lendistry uses this technology to verify and review your bank statements. This method of bank verification is preferred, but may not be acceptable, including if your bank institution is not available through this provider. In this case, you can verify your bank account using other methods. So first, click on Link your bank account to open a window for Plaid. Continue through this app and locate your bank institution. Sign into your online banking account and connect it to Lendistry's portal. Second, this step must always be completed regardless of the verification method that you use. Enter your bank account information, and the business account name field is not your account type. This field is your account name, which must be in the name of your business and listed on your bank statements. If your business is a sole proprietorship, the bank account must still be a business checking account and match the name of your DBA. Next slide, please. So moving forward with your application to final approval requires you to have a business bank account for the deposit of grant funds. So the business bank account must match the business name listed in your application and bank statement. If your business is a sole proprietorship, the bank account must still be a business bank account and match the name of your DBA. The usage of personal bank accounts for your business bank account is not acceptable, and there are no expectations. Again, we highly encourage applicants to open a business bank account if they do not have one. An application cannot proceed with processing without the business bank account and may put it at risk of being unqualified. So if you do not have a business bank account, don't worry, it's not late. You can please engage with your local bank or confer with a trusted financial advisor to open one. The following is a list of financial institutions that have indicated a willingness to work with applicants for this program. So the list is not meant to be an all-inclusive, nor is it intended to be any endorsement of any kind, but some examples include Ponce Bank, Spring Bank, Carver Bank, CDFI, credit unions, et cetera, et cetera. A bank that we use with ABC is Amalgamated Bank. So again, check this list. If you have any questions, we're happy to work with you as well and support you in this process. So you'll be able to see your application status in the portal through this process as well. So what does this look like? Fantastic question. So if you see incomplete, it means that you started an online application but did not complete it. So what you should do is sign into your portal and complete all fields in the application. You must submit a finished application in order for it to be considered for the grant. If you see a note that says awaiting selection process, this means that you've submitted a complete application and is currently under review for eligibility. So check your email for notification about your selection decision. You'll either be selected, waitlisted, or not selected to move forward with the application process. If you see in review, pending validations, that means that you do qualify for the program's minimum eligibility requirements and have been selected to move forward in the process. So being selected does not guarantee funding, but Lendistry will email or call you with updates about your application. So again, check your email, make sure that you provide the correct email address, have phone notifications, whatever you need to do. So during this time, upload all required documents into the PDF format. And then, so if you're waitlisted, this means that you have been preliminary determined to meet the eligibility requirements for the grant, and you're in line for validation. What you should do is just make sure that all your documents have been uploaded correctly. And if you see not selected, this means that you do not meet the program's minimum eligibility requirements and your application has been disqualified. So if you think your application was disqualified in error, please reach out to our call center for assistance. Great. So I will be done talking in just a second. Next slide, please. But with all this information, you should be able to submit the application. So thank you so much for coming today. And as mentioned before, this presentation is public, so you can refer to the PowerPoint or recording at any time. And in addition, as a community partner, Arts Business Collaborative, myself and Tatum are happy to support you anytime during this process. If you have any questions, if you want some additional support, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to help you. So Yadira has kindly put our emails in the chat, Ami at Arts Business Collaborative or Tatum at Arts Business Collaborative. And thank you very much for Empire State Development Corporation for creating this opportunity for small business owners, and to Landistry for providing this platform. And so if you have any questions or need assistance during this process, you can contact Landistry Call Center at 887-721-0097 or visit the www.newyork or nysmallbusinessrecovery.com. And so now we'd like to, I'm gonna pass it off to Tatum to kind of do like a quick overview, and then we'll open it up for questions. Off to you, Tatum.
Thank you, Ami, and thank you for all of the participants today. Ami, amazing job. And it's a lot of information to absorb, and we really want to be a resource for you. So I'm just going to share a couple of slides to just kind of reiterate some of the things that Ami discussed just now. Thank you again. So again, we're from Arts Business Collaborative, and Ami mentioned this earlier. We are a 501c3 technical assistance and research organization with the mission to improve the quality of life for people of color through our arts and STEM. We are excited to work with the grants program and Landistry here and be a resource for everyone. Some of the things that we talked about, just repeating it again, like you are ineligible if you're a nonprofit, if you're a church or religious institution, government-owned entity, elected official office, business primarily engaged in political or lobbying activities, businesses that received awards from the SBA Restaurant Revitalization Grant Program, landlords and passive real estate businesses, an illegal business or enterprise, and other industries or business types as specified by the Empire State Development. You are eligible to use grants for the period incurred for losses or expenses between March 1st and April 1st, 2021. These include commercial rent and mortgage payments, payroll costs, property taxes or school taxes associated with the business, insurance cost, utility cost, heating, HVAC cost, equipment or machines like laptops, copy machines, supplies and materials necessary for compliance with COVID-19 health and safety protocols, and other documented COVID-19 costs as applied by ESD. We've talked through this a bunch, and I know it's always repetitive, but just again, proof, the required documents for you to apply are the proof of business and location and current operations. That can include a utility bill, a mortgage statement, a business credit card statement, a current lease, payment processing statement, sales tax collection documentation. Other required documents are going to be proof of gross receipts or other economic hardship. This is the period of 2019 and 2020 business income tax returns. Full returns are mandatory and for everyone. So for corporations, LLCs, and S Corps, for partnerships, you'll have different formats. I'll kind of show you what those look like in our next couple of slides. But for LLC, for partnerships, you'll use the Form 1065 or Schedule K. For sole proprietors, you're using a 1040 or Schedule C. For a farming business, you'll include the IRS Schedule F, and for completed IRS Forms 5506. Proof of business and organization is another required document. You'll need the business license or certificate, certificate of the organization, certificate of the DBA, certificate of authority, articles of incorporation, municipality documenting the authorization of its operation. Each business will act differently, so all of these forms are not required for every business. You'll have the proper documentation for your specific business under your specific code. So LLCs, C Corps, S Corps, you'll have different documentations that you'll have to be able to file your certification of the organization. Uploading documents is really a huge point. We want to make sure everyone knows to only use PDFs. The PDF size, I believe, is under 15, right, Kay? I'm like losing my mind at this point. But we want to make sure, like, any of the documentation that you're uploading, please file and save as a PDF. If you're not sure how to file and save that documentation, please use us as a resource. You know, you can reach out to Ami or myself. Our email addresses are there to help you to upload this documentation. I'm happy to walk you through that process myself and make sure that you're able to file within the, not only the filing type as PDF, but also to have the file size be under 15 megs. Going back to the documentation needed when you're uploading that, for corporations, again, you're going to be submitting a form 1120S, and that's for corporations and LLCs. So for C Corp and LLCs, for partnerships, you're going to be filing a 1065 Schedule K. For S Corp, sole proprietors and farming business, for farming businesses specifically, you'll be using a 1040 Schedule F. And for a completed, only if requested by Lendistry, you'll need a completed 5506C. Hate when this happens. Sorry, my computer's a little jumpy. Okay. Approved. Yay. You've made it this far. You've stayed with us this long. You've been approved. You will need to provide your W-9 and bank information so that funds can be wired to you. You still qualify if you receive the following assistance from the following programs. You are eligible to receive you're eligible to receive this reward if you received a Paycheck Protection Program, so PPE loan totaling $250,000 or less, COVID-19 EIDL advance grant under $10,000, COVID-19 EIDL supplemental target advance grant of $5,000 or less, or if you are qualified for a shuttered venue operator grant, you can still qualify and please still apply for this grant. As Ami mentioned, accessibility is really important. We at ABC can provide a number of different services as well as language and translation. But if you find yourself not able to work with us, we do want you to have and know that there's accessibility to translate this documentation in these languages for accessibility. Our help desk is open. We can do one-on-one consultations. We can work with you via email. Our emails are uploaded here. We really want to help you walk through this process as best as possible and share this information. This recording will be available on YouTube. We will also be able to email it out to you that have joined today. And we really want to be a resource for you to walk you through the process. Here's our contact information, as well as the smallbusinessrecovery.com website information to help you with the application. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that beautiful recap, Tatum. That's basically an overview of the past 50 minutes, but in like a beautifully concise way. So if you refer back to this, and if you don't want to just listen to me talk for 50 minutes, please go to Tatum's section and you can hear all of that as well. So thank you so much for preparing that. And so we've had some really great questions in the chat box. And so really want to refer to that. And so now we'll open the floor up for any questions. So I will share things out to Yadira. But one question that we got recently outside of this session was that if folks have seen their income increase over the pandemic, should they still apply or not?
Hi guys. So yes, if they did not, if the income increased in 2020 from 2019, this is not a grant that you should apply for. This grant is to assist in the recovery of funds. So if you actually did very well, congratulations. But this would not be a grant that, you would go and apply for. However, I do want to encourage you to let other small businesses know about it so that they can apply, especially if they're your vendors, if they're your next door neighbors that you want, from your shopping center, you want to keep them around, or even the ones that you don't, but let them know, so that you guys could all be in it together and recover together.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And so on the website, there are frequently asked questions that are also put in the chat, but are there any questions that you've heard folks ask that maybe aren't on this as well?
Um, the one that I continuously see is, should I apply? I fall into this category, but not into this. I want you guys to not disqualify yourselves. If you meet the criteria within the grant amounts, the 2019 net amount, I want you to apply. If you are a for-profit, you should be applying. If you did see your loss in 2019, you should be applying. If you don't have a business license, that's okay. You could apply for one right now. It's fine. You still have to go through the application process. I have to wait until you're selected and reviewed. You know, in most counties, obtaining a business license can be done within 2 weeks. A DBA can be done within a week or so, just depending on how busy they are. Applying for a business account does not take very long. However, certain documentation will be needed. But for the most part, the banks that we mentioned will have or require the same type of documentation that we're asking for in the grant.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for touching on that. And so there's a couple of questions that were already stated in the chat, but I want to highlight them. And then also, if folks have any questions now, one thing that I really want to stress and highlight is that we are here for you. We're here to support and advocate for you. So if you have any questions during the application process, or if there's anything that you want to clarify, contact us. We are happy to find out for you. We're happy to walk you through this process. So please use us as a resource. We're here. So please use us. And so we had a question if a non-for-profit with volunteer staff will be considered. And sadly, not-for-profits will not be able to be eligible for this grant. Yadir, are there any additional notes that you want to add about this?
So just in case they were, like, let's say that the question was, do volunteers for a for-profit organization are counted? No, they wouldn't be counted. They have to be employees or for them to actually be counted. So temporary personnel wouldn't be counted. Like, let's say, for instance, Shakespeare in the Park. You have a core production, and then you have actors that come in at a later time, or vice versa. The ones that are temporary for that show would not be counted as employees.
Awesome, that's great. Thank you so much. And so there's a question though specifically about taxi workers. So what if I work independently as a taxi driver or worker? What do I use to prove?
All right. So for the most part, you do have your license medallion as a taxi driver. So this is one form of identification that you are working in that line of business, that New York City or state has authorized you to work as a taxi driver. The other one would be the passenger insurance that you are required to have as a taxi driver. And remember, all of this must be current.
Yes, thank you so much for touching that as well. And again, if you have any questions during the process, if you ask this question, please contact us. Again, we're happy to support and help you through this. So some other questions that have kind of come up that we've helped other folks with, would love to ask these questions to you so that folks know broadly as well. So one of them was regarding, can I use my PO box as my address?
You can use your PO box as your address. However, you must give us documentation of where you actually live and where your business is. So let's say that you're a home-based business. You use your PO box as your mailing address. Let us know. That's fine. I would recommend in the application on the address level, line 1, enter your physical address, and then in line 2, enter your PO box. And then if you're using your PO box as your main point of contact for your business, you could enter that in your business information as well. But yes, definitely enter your physical address where it's talking about the owner.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you so much. And so before we wrap up questions, if folks have any questions, please feel free to chat them or raise your hand to unmute. But one thing that we really do want to note is that not only are we available one-on-one, but actually tomorrow we'll have an office hour at 3 p.m. So if you have any additional questions, let's say that you looked at the application and we're like, whew, this is a lot. Come to our office hour. We're happy to help you and be there for you. And so I'm going to put the link in the chat. And so what this will kind of be is a lot more casual than a webinar. So if you have any specific questions, we'll have that answered for you and we're happy to be there for you.
All right. Claire, do you have any questions? Joanna, do you have any questions?
This is Janelle. I have my business partner's name on my Zoom. I don't know why it does that, but I'm not qualified for it. But I still wanted to come on and support and just kind of learn about what you all were doing. So it triggers some things in me that I need to make sure we have. Our location is in another state, but you know the DBA, some of the other points that you were highlighting in the application process were things we're going to have a meeting after this meeting. So I'm like, yep, we need to make sure we get these things organized. So, you know, when opportunities like this come up, we can be, you know, well prepared for them. So thank you. It was a great and informative meeting.
You're welcome. And I would suggest reaching out to other organizations within your actual state and any development office that you have in your state so that you could see if there are any programs similar to this.
Yes, thank you. I will.
Thank you so much for joining, Janelle. And as always, if you know of any of individuals as well who would qualify for this grant, please feel free to share we have a lot of information and marketing materials, so please feel free to share them.
Yeah, I shared it already. The link that you sent me, I shared it on Facebook in this group called Arts Administrators of Color. So hopefully people will sign up, but I said, you know, it's for the New York peeps. So hopefully someone will sign on for it.
Yes, we love Arts Administrators of Color. Thank you so much. Thanks for putting that in there.
Thank you so much. We also have technical assistance. So I don't know, like if any of those organizations are interested, on our website, which I think Ami uploaded already, like on our website, we have all of the other upcoming webinars for technical assistance and organizational stand-up. So those are just really great resources to use for all organizations. So make sure to tune into that. And we are excited to help you and help others.
All right, and I'm gonna also ask, I don't want to mess up the name, but Hermashi, do you have any questions? All right, Claire. So if you have any questions, please join the ladies tomorrow. They do have drop-in office hours, and they will be able to kind of walk you through the whole process of that application. And they have my contact information, so if they have any questions that they are unable to answer, you should receive it within a couple of minutes once they email me, or I may even pop into the meeting itself, and just in case to allow for additional support.
Awesome. And also big shout out to Yadira. Thank you so much for being here today and supporting all of these individuals who will be applying for the grant. It's really big help, and we just want to share our appreciation for you.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys. All of this. Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here late at night and listening through all of this information. So as mentioned, we do have an office hour tomorrow at 3 p.m., which I'll also be sharing as other resources after this as well. But again, have any questions, please let us know, and have a fantastic night. Bye, everyone.